Welcome back to Good Morning Football. Guys, do what you can to support your small businesses by ordering to go, by buying gift cards, and by shopping local online. You can visit Verizon.com/payitforward live for more information. Do what you can to support the small businesses. We're all in this together.
We certainly are. And when you are supporting local businesses and when you are home cooking, it's all about the food. I think all of us can agree. We're doing a lot more eating, a lot more dish cleaning at home. Guys, I want to ask you before we get to this game, what is the one social distancing food, Kyle, you cannot live without? What's the meal?
It's just so much pizza, Kay. I'm making my own pizza now. I'm just scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's disgusting.
Sounds good.
Nate?
It's not great.
I'm going with avocado. I've been going avocado crazy. Avocado on every single dish, yeah. I'm trying to be healthy.
Okay.
Yeah, you ain't Tom Brady, though, pal. I'm going to say I've been big on the baked goods.
Bobby Brady.
Baked goods, Kay. All sorts.
Goods.
Any
You've been
kind.
big on what?
Baked goods.
Baked goods. I love it. Well, that brings us to
Bacon or
a
baked
spin on
goods?
our game. Big deal. Big deal or no big deal. We're calling it big meal or no big
Nice.
meal. That's what we're talking about. We're talking portion size and store.
right.
So let's do it. And starting with the Bengals, 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback Andy Dalton. Big meal or no big meal for the Patriots. Andy Dalton, Nate, and then Kyle is now a free agent. Dalton's a free guy.
Oh, it's a big meal. And his hair reminds me of one of my favorite meals, which is carrot cake. And it is delicious dessert. If you think about what the Patriots have on the roster, I guess that would make Andy Dalton like the carrot cake because it's going to add just a little bit of flavor and a little bit of sweetness to what they already have out there. So, yeah, it's a big meal that he's available.
All right, let me get in here. Yeah, I just have to make a quick change. As much as we have appreciated the career of Andy Dalton, yes, it's a big deal. And I just think Andy Dalton has spent a lot of the last few days and last few years just frankly getting crapped on, and people are making fun of his hair, and he has the same name of the guy from Roadhouse. Listen, you can't always have Lamar Jackson. Not every player is Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes you need a guy who's won 10 games a few times and been to the playoffs. I think it's a huge deal the Patriots and Josh McDaniels should get their hand on Dalton.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a big meal / big deal as well. And it's not just for the Patriots. You look around the league. If you want to put him as a backup, Nate suggested Pittsburgh yesterday, which I thought was good. Kyle, you suggested Jacksonville as a starter to maybe challenge with Gardner Minshew. This is another viable quarterback. It's the most important position in all of sports. And Cam Newton's hurt right now, or at least the last we saw of him, he was not on the field. Andy Dalton, he's healthy, and he's ready to go. I think it's a huge deal, and I think a team will be signing him in the next couple of weeks before Cam Newton.
I love it because he's a control in a science experiment. He's a good, not great quarterback that can get a team to the playoffs, not get very far. So he's the perfect control for Bill Belichick if he were to end up in New England to say, look what I can do. Look what my coaching can do here. Because he can't really do that with Stidham, who's a relative unknown. And I'd be excited to see if that happens. We'll see where he ends up. The Ravens took J.K. Dobbins, the running back, in the second round. So as a fantasy owner, I'm freaking out about this backfield now. We have Ingram coming off 10 touchdowns. What is this going to look like? It's always going to be a heavy run game. Eric DeCosta saying that Dobbins fell out of the sky to them. Big meal or no big deal, Schrags. You know this team in and out. The Ravens are adding more firepower to their backfield.
Big meal, because the rich got richer. This is the number one rushing team in all of football, and they added a guy who had more rushing yards in college football at Ohio State than Eddie George and Archie Griffin. Oh, and Ezekiel Elliott as well. And J.K. Dobbins, what he does is out of the shotgun, which makes him so dangerous because what do the Ravens do so much? Put Lamar in that shotgun and then let him go. And then now we have another option to go with it. I love when they have 3 tight ends out there. They put their fullback Ricard out there, and they usually have Ingram or Edwards or someone else. Now you've got J.K. Dobbins, who is a horse back there. I'm telling you, this is one of those picks. And I had a list before we went into the draft of top 5 guys that might get taken in the first round that you're not hearing about. J.K. Dobbins was on the list because a lot of teams had him on the first round grade. For the Ravens to get Patrick Queen and J.K. Dobbins, watch out. I love this pick, and I think he fits them perfectly.
Yeah, no, I love this, man. I love this 100%. When it comes to what we saw last year out of this offense, it was like a 5-course meal, right? We were excited about every single dish from the start all the way down to the dessert. And then once we got to the playoffs, because they were so banged up and they didn't have the depth, we couldn't get what we were used to. It's like we were at the restaurant and like, hey, waiter, can I get that Mark Ingram, the dominant Mark Ingram? And he's like, hey, do we have the Mark Ingram available? I'm sorry, we don't have Mark Ingram. We can give you a replacement. So they didn't have the depth, and now they have individuals that can step up when the big dogs go down.
That's it, Nate. And you know what? Speaking of firepower, we've had a little fun with my ironic floating DVD logo, but it's Friday. We like to get a little nuts. I think I want to just add a little fire to the show. And light a torch for us here, guys. That fire was absolutely lit by Nate's Andy Dalton carrot cake take. This is obviously a really big deal for Baltimore. I'll tell you why. The loss to the Titans, everybody got so titillated about what Derrick Henry was doing and everything. That loss happened because the Ravens can convert some 4th and shorts. They kept getting stuffed. Mark Ingram in that game only had 6 carries. Gus the Bus had 3. You bring that sand to the beach. You light that fire. This is my pizza oven. I'm trying to tell you, Kay, I've been making my own pizzas. Now you guys see how. I'm like Gwyneth in my herb garden.
Do you just bring up goop right now? Gwyneth in your herb garden. I love that. I'll say this. I like the Dobbins pick. We know they like to run the ball, but I'd like to see something else in their passing game. Yeah, they've got the deep threat in Hollywood. He's great, but I think I talked yesterday to their number 1 option in the passing game, and that's Mark Andrews, their tight end, who had 10 touchdowns last year and made some huge, amazing, big plays and is clearly trusted by him. I'd like to see them maybe have a more consistent wide receiver 1 option if they are going to get over the hump and win themselves a Super Bowl. Love you, Baltimore. More Good Morning Football on the way. Morning pizza is great, by the way. Like cold pizza. You got any of that lying around, Kyle?
Oh, yeah. Sure, I got cold wine.
Cold pizza. All right, well, you... Good. You go grab a bite of that. We'll be back because, Kyle, what's coming back? Red flags?
Oh, yes. What is the one thing everyone is forgetting about Aaron